Hi, this is Rich Gorham from Russo Bar Associates.
It looks like it's 5:30 according to my phone.
Yep.
Okay, we're ready to begin. All right, I'm going to call the October 7th meeting of the Municipal Building Commission to order at 5:30. And as always, we will start with a call of the roll to establish the quorum and who's here. So take it away, Jeremy.
All right. Terry?
Here.
Ed?
Here.
Jackie?
Here.
Gail?
Here.
Sounded like Jerry.
Yeah. All right,
Here.
Jerry's here. Do we have Gail? Sorry, no? No Gail. Mike Tyler? No. Andrew Acosta?
Here.
And Kelly Bennett?
Here.
And Jack Jacoby.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum.
So we have a quorum.
Mike Tyler just showed up.
Okay,
Oh,
there he is.
hi,
Say
Mike.
here, Mike. Mike? Mike Tyler? Mike, you're on mute?
Or he's not on mute, but we might be silenced. He'll figure it out sooner or later that he can't hear us.
Okay.
I'll text him.
All right, so first order of business is that Jeremy sent out the minutes from September 2nd. Oh, I like your headgear, Andrew. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, Jeremy, call the roll.
All right, approval of the minutes. Terry?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
I don't believe we have Gail here yet. Jerry?
Yes.
Mike, can you hear us? All right, Andrew?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes, motion passes unanimously. Going to skip over the bills for the moment, and I think we'll go right to Tom Hayes. You were here a minute ago. There you are, Tom.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Welcome, Tom. Yes, we can hear you. You want to give us the monthly update?
Yeah, the gravity thickeners, all three have been completed. They're online. We've been running gravity thickener 2 for about a week now. We have had no problems. So that project is pretty much done, other than I don't believe there's any punch list items. They've pretty much taken care of anything that needed to be done, but probably next month, hopefully we'll get the final pay application from Leiden for that, if everything goes well. They've also completed the lime silo project. They did that on Monday, and that went really well. Took them about 12 hours. The job's completed. We refilled with lime. We've been using the silo since then with no problems. And Fall River Electric has had the approval of the O&M manuals, and now they just need to get them to us. They need to get them printed and delivered to us. And that's the last thing that we're waiting for the VFD contract. It's just the O&M manuals from them.
Okay, so has anybody requested substantial completion yet? And I can see Gail Clark has joined us.
Not to my knowledge. They just finished up at the middle of last week. So nobody has requested that yet, no.
Okay. Before we get to any of the bills, anybody on the commission have any questions for Tom? Hearing none, I'm going to ask Tom, we have an application from IPC Leiden number 7 for $74,100 for the period ending September 30th. Do you recommend that to us?
Yes.
Okay. And a bill from CDM Smith. Looks like that is through 9/15/20 for $18,687.74. Do you recommend that to us?
Yes.
and also a bill from them for $11,045.75. You recommend
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Okay. So when we get to taking the roll call on the bills, we'll do them all at once, but this way we know that you've approved it. So unless there's anything else for Tom, our next meeting is 11/4. And just so everybody remembers, we have a tour of the high school that day at 4 o'clock. Hope everyone can attend. Make sure that Jeremy knows if you're going to be there so that you're on the list. We would meet a couple of minutes before 4, start the meeting, the walkthrough at 4. And then whenever we finish that, we will go to whatever place is appropriate. I'll certainly come here. Ed and Jeremy will come here, and we will run the regular meeting after that. So Tom, we'll see you on November 4th around 5:30.
Okay, see you there.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, then I think the next thing is the middle school roofs. Susan Gleason,
Hello.
I see you. Hi.
Hi.
Do you want to give us the report on that?
Sure. So both schools are pretty much done. Punch list was being completed. We have Russo Bar is going to go back and double check to make sure everything was done to their satisfaction. We had the Certainteed rep came out and confirmed that they are in approval of the installation, and they will be issuing their warranty along with the closeout documents. We also had the building inspector notified, and he came out to look at the work, and I believe he signed off on everything. We have not received any of the closeout paperwork as of yet in terms of as-built or manuals, but we will get those, review them, and get them on thumb drives to be submitted. We do have a recommendation from Russo Bar for the substantial completion. I sent a draft copy of what they had submitted for September 28th. So we would like to get approval on that. Did some change pricing from MDM, and we haven't resolved all of the allowances yet, so those are still pending. We're still fleshing out quantities, but the changes are related to additional back rod and ceiling around the 2 skylights, refinishing in the lobbies to really give a complete, not patchy look in those areas. So both Russo Bar and we've reviewed them, we've signed them, and we've submitted the copies for your review. And I think MDM has also submitted their app number 4 for payment, which Rich and I have signed off on. So you should have that. And I believe that's it.
Okay, so we'll take these things in series, but so the windows, the big round windows are complete?
Yes.
And all of the roofing work is complete?
Yes.
Have we resolved the heat trace issue?
No, that is still in process. The numbers that we had gotten were significantly higher than what we felt it should be. And so we've been working with Russo Bar to reduce the number of zones and to source a different electrician, which Jason has been helping us with, connecting us to another local vendor. And we're hoping to have a revised number, some updated pricing. Jason, I don't know if you have any.
Susan, we lost you.
Jason, I asked Jason if he had any other feedback, but I guess we can't hear him. Sorry.
I had lost you for a second, actually, but Nothing as of yet, but I'm expecting to hear something within the next day or so.
Great.
So is this something we can source off the state bid list?
Well, we have someone through Jason, a local electrician, that will work for and through MDM. So we can process this as a change like we were going to MDM. We're just not going to use the same electrician he used for the lightning protection, because he was also local, but he seemed like he was too busy and his numbers were very high.
Okay, so if I remember right, we had voted not to exceed 50,000 and his number was more like 85.
No, it was an additional 83,000 over the 50. So it was very,
I did not. Yeah, that was not my understanding. So yes, that is wildly over.
yes.
133 is, yes, wildly over to borrow.
Yes, but it was 13 zones. It was, the pricing of the materials was not the issue. I think maybe a little bit on the wiring, but Rich has been working with, determining the exact locations, with the school, and we're definitely going to try and get a better number from this other electrician.
Okay, Andy, I see you're on with us.
Yep.
You have anything to add before I ask you about substantial completion?
Yeah, as far as the heat trace stuff, one of the things that Rich and I have been looking at is just reducing the areas that we need it and trying to keep it as simple as possible. I think that MDM's electrician very overcomplicated the whole thing. And so we're working with them and obviously with the new electrician to try to clarify really what the intent of this thing is, and not that it's to heat the entire place, including the surrounding athletic fields with heat trace, because that's 13 zones is kind of ridiculous. So anyways, we're working on that, and hopefully we'll be able to get that to be a more acceptable area, or a more acceptable price. So
Okay, but you're recommending substantial completion to us effective September 28th?
yes, correct.
And Susan, you did too, correct?
Correct.
Okay, then I think a motion, well, first of all, ask commission members, do you have any questions on the update?
I have a question on what that heat tracing, what was that all about?
Okay, yeah, I can. The request came from I believe Jason and the school people, because basically there have been issues in the past with the gutters freezing up and there being ice buildup and both ice dams and icicles that are falling down off of those. And so what we had looked into was to put heat trace cable into the gutter and running down the downspouts to keep them free flowing.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, and Jerry, one of the things that we learned was that because of the pitch of the roof, especially over the entrances, it's so steep that the water was coming down so fast, it was missing gutters in many occasions. So Andy's firm designed larger gutters so that we would not have the water cascading down onto the pavement.
Yeah.
But that probably increased the risk of freezing, as I understood it, and that's why the request was made. Is that a fair statement, Andy?
Yes, yep, that's correct. Yeah, we extended gutters to get the water to more appropriate places before it got down onto the roof, and less onto that immediate roof, that the roof that immediately covers the entrances. So we're trying to reduce that, but then that created more gutter and more potential for freeze up.
So any other questions from commission members on the update?
I've got a question, Jack. With having to find a new electrician, is it still anticipated that the work will be completed before it's needed this winter? Or does it matter if it's active for the winter?
No, I believe the materials are available. I don't think there's a lead time. It's just a matter of finding the electrician and negotiating a better price. So I don't see it being a problem having this installed quickly once we can, work through the pricing.
How confident are we that we're going to stay within the means of not to exceed with the new electrician? Are we going to go beyond it?
No, I believe the goal of meeting with Russo Bar and talking to the electrician was to, simplify. The other electrician was running wires everywhere. So to really clarify exactly where we needed the work done and how many zones. And we're pretty confident that now it's going to be within, what Russo Bar had thought it was going to be in the very beginning. So we should have an update soon.
Okay, thank you.
Is this something that will need to be in place then before November 4th?
Which is the next meeting.
Maybe let me ask the question a different way. Is it our intention to have the electrician, the new electrician out there working before our next meeting?
If we can get the pricing, yes.
Okay. So we don't need to change our vote. Our not to exceed 50,000 will still hold. And if for some reason the pricing comes in above that, we would have to take this back to a meeting of the commission. So I just want to be clear on that. So if we can bring the price in 50 or less, you've got the authority to go ahead. If you can't, then we have to figure out plan B. Okay?
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
I've had good luck finding contractors to do a specific job by going to a distributor that sells the product and asking them to recommend a contractor that they sell to that works a lot with that project, that material or whatever they're installing, or maybe something like that. You'd find somebody that's familiar with it and would give you a more aggressive price on it.
It sounds like a very good idea. Nothing wrong with us getting multiple prices, is there? Andy?
No, there isn't. And I also think that the other thing that would simplify it, and I think this is kind of what Jason is doing, is going with an electrician that is familiar with the building. Because part of this is basically tying this system into the existing electrical system. And when we met the last at the meeting about a month and a half ago, we actually identified electrical rooms which should make it not too difficult to do this. So having an electrician that maybe has done some work in the school would probably help things too. So that's another avenue.
We've lost Susan. There's a storm rolling through, so I'm just trying to get her the dial-in information. Is it in the invite?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Any other questions?
In the email invite that you got, there's a dial-in number.
All right, then I think that a motion would be in order to approve substantial completion on this project as of September 28th.
No.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay,
This is substantial completion?
this substantial completion vote, you ready, Jeremy?
I am. All right, Terry,
Here, yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
and Jack.
Yes, so that passes unanimously. Then before I forget, is Susan back with us at all? She isn't.
I don't see her.
Okay. Then I'll ask Andy, have you reviewed MDM application number 4 for $287,565?
Yes.
And you recommend that to us?
Yes.
Okay. And let's see, we also have a bill for Skanska, which I won't ask you about, Andy. And we also, we have a bill for you for 9867. I'm sure you recommend that to us, Andy.
Wholeheartedly, yes.
So the copy of the Russo Bar bill that I sent around had Skanska's signature on it, approved by Susan and her team.
Okay, good. And you, Jeremy, approve of Skanska's bill?
I do, yes.
Okay. So now I think the next thing is we have a change request from MDM.
Yeah.
Is that
There's,
something you can address, Andy?
yeah, actually, now which one are there? Is there one or two? I don't know if I have those in front of me, but Rich does if I don't. Rich, was that in two or in one?
There were three actual change order requests. Two of them are exactly the same amount.
Susan, do we have you on phone now?
Yes, I just got back on via phone.
Okay, so Rich, if you want to continue, I think Jeremy emailed these things to us. They're somewhere here in my pile.
Yep.
So there were.
We're talking about the change requests.
Okay. So we have two changes related to the skylight. And Rich can explain more about the backer rod and the ceiling of the light. And then the other change was related to the additional painting and refinishing in the lobbies, so as to not have a patchy look between old and new. So that's what the three changes are.
Okay. Do you want to talk, Rich, about those a little bit for us?
Yeah, I'll speak to both of the skylights. So up on each school, the Wamsutta and the Brennan School, there's a large skylight on each one. Now, we completed the roofing, but we noticed after the roofing that we were still having leaks. And it looks like that those leaks are associated with the sealant joints in the existing skylights. So we asked MDM to prepare a price for removal, replacement of the sealant joints at both of the skylights in both schools. And that includes, backer rod and putting in brand new sealant. And we believe that that's going to stop the any additional leaks. So it's a necessary thing. So we gave you a separate change order request for each school. Each is the same amount, because the skylights are exactly the same size and were constructed essentially at the same time.
Yeah, so, and that's $3,520 on change proposal number 3 for Brennan, and $3,520 for change proposal number 4 for Wamsutta. That's correct?
Correct.
Okay. And are there commission members? Do you have any questions concerning that?
Yeah, just a quick question, Jack. So what does the actual work entail? I mean, it's skylights. I can definitely relate to this one. Every time there's been work done there or skylight, if they don't replace that total flashing round, they never get the sealant right. It never adheres correctly. So what does the total scope of the project for that kind of money entailing?
So all the roof flashing work has been done around the skylight on the vertical surfaces. So the sealant joint work that we're talking about is they're going to be they're cutting out the existing sealant joints of both skylights at both schools completely, removing that sealant, including the existing backer rod. They're going to go back in, put new backer rod and primer as required, and install a new. And I think Andy Barr may speak to this, the type of sealant, but it would be probably a polyurethane sealant, I believe. And that's what we would go back with, around it. Those skylights are about, just trying to think size wise, I want to say they're probably about 30, maybe 40 feet in length by about roughly 20 feet in width. So you're doing the perimeters of the skylights and the other associated sealant joints.
Thanks, Rich. I appreciate the answer. And it is, it is a very common problem when they work around skylights for some reason. They never seem to seat right after. So again, thank you for your update on that.
Yeah, let me just add one thing. One of the things that we noticed on some of these things is that there's just been multiple repairs, sealant on sealant on sealant. So we make sure that in this instance that we go all the way back to the original, get everything out of there and you properly caulk it. Because when you put caulking over bad caulking, it usually doesn't work. So.
Thank you, Andy.
Yep.
Now, was this caulking put in the manufacturing of it, or was it done on site when the school was originally built?
Well, originally there may have been some sealant involved in the original, but these skylights are big enough, they don't come to the job totally assembled. So there is caulking involved, and in particular this sealant that is put on site during the original installation. And then there have been repairs over the years since.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Right. Change proposal number 5. Who wants to address that?
Is that the interior work?
It looks
Yes.
like,
Okay.
yeah, it looks like additional lobby painting and millwork repairs.
Okay. All right. That was basically when we had included in the project a certain amount of interior repairs because of previous leaks in the lobby area. Then when the contractor got started, we came out and we reviewed it again with him. We identified areas that, in some cases it's do this area and not this area or whatever. We make sure we get it all. But one of the things that we noted was that the ceilings in particular and some of the walls, they hadn't been painted. I don't know if since the building was built or certainly not in a while. So to get it all to blend in, it made sense to do that. We also, one of the things that we had specified was to have the round columns, and a couple of those were cracked and needed to be replaced, but we were able to, there was a really good carpenter that they had that was recommended by some people in town, I believe, or something. But anyways, he was a very good craftsman. He was able to repair the cracked columns by putting in new pieces of oak and refinished it and did a lot more and so we ended up doing more refinishing of that than was originally specified, but because of some trade-offs, we were able to sort of keep this change order to a minimum, and then most of it was really the result of additional painting just to blend things in.
And that's for $11,550.
Yeah, and I believe that's both schools.
Okay. Questions, commission members?
Just a question, probably more for Jason. I mean, Jason, you feel that all that work had to be performed? I know we've had a problem with that school for a long time. I'm glad to hear the columns could be saved, with just some new molding around them. But I mean, I think it goes to Jason now. Is that going to make it easier for you guys? And are you happy with the end results of that?
Absolutely. We had so much damage from previous leaks that we actually had to move the fire alarm panel from the vestibule into the building. And while we had done some patching and sort of chased those leaks, ultimately they always came back. So it's nice that we're going to have, a dry interior, and now that's all been refinished and it's matching. So yeah, we were really happy to see that done, especially that column. It came out fantastic. All columns, actually, all of them. But there were a couple, especially at Brennan, was really, really bad.
So I think my follow-up, Jason, thank you very much, is what are we going to do with that wonderful collection system that we put up on the auditorium, and now they're going to have a new roof?
I'm not sure. I'm going to see if the Attleboro Museum is interested in it. I hope I never need it again, but I'm going to hold on to it, at least for a little while.
That's shame.
Are you referring to those big funnels and the hose that came down that went into the waste baskets? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, I am, Jack.
That's them.
Okay.
Maybe the library could use it.
We'll get to the library shortly. So I guess then you're asking us to approve these 3 change order proposals?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second,
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none. Jeremy?
All right, Terry,
Yes,
Ed? Yes. Jackie,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Jack.
Yes, it's unanimous, it passes. Then I think then that there's a Skanska change request. Susan, is that the next order of business?
Yes, that's the next item. So in order to keep the project, close to the original dates to get things completed, due to the COVID delayed materials, we were, having MDM work, through the weekends, and Jerry ended up spending a significant amount of time beyond what we had anticipated. So what we proposed was we were taking all of Dale's hours and redistributing them to myself and to Jerry. And so the net additional hours for Jerry are this change request.
And I think you gave us a spreadsheet that Jeremy sent out, and that's for $34,775. Is that correct?
Correct. I tried to show the comparison between what we had forecasted and where we were at, and noting, through the invoice number 5, which I think is on the agenda as well. So hopefully the way I laid it out makes sense.
Yeah, let me just say that Jeremy and I attended all of the OAC meetings on this job. And I just want to recommend this to the commission because both Russo Bar and your firm literally held the hands of the contractor and helped them source everything from nails to roofing materials to the metal pieces. And frankly, I think they'd still be saying they couldn't get things if we had left them to their own devices. Is that fair, Andy?
Yeah, I think that's probably the case, yes.
So I think that in terms of getting this project done for the beginning of school, in terms of getting what I have so far, what I've seen is an outstanding project. I recommend to the commission that we adopt this change order for the extra hours for Skanska. The contractor did work weekends and did not charge us the upcharge for that additional time, but we obviously had to pay for additional time then for Skanska to be on site because we simply couldn't leave them alone.
Yeah, I was involved with this as well as Jack, and I echo his comments about the work that both firms put in. Money well spent. So yeah, I would recommend acceptance as well.
Commission members?
Motion to approve the change order?
Well, certainly, but if you want to usurp Jackie's usual role, Mike, you can go right ahead.
Sorry, Jackie.
Move to approve.
second,
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none. Jeremy?
Terry,
yes,
Ed? Yes. Jackie,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
and Jack.
Yes, well, that passes unanimously. Is there anything, well, actually, there is one thing. Susan, you put together the numbers for us, and we have something a little bit north of $900,000 left over in this project. Is that correct?
Correct. We're still, like I said, negotiating through the allowances, but we're still anticipating getting a significant amount back on the allowances that are, in that contract for MDM right now. And we are projecting that, the pricing for the heat trace, our goal is to keep this below the not to exceed. So with all of those items, including what you've voted on tonight, it would be somewhere around $994,000. But again, we'll have a better idea once we flush through all of the allowances.
Sorry, Susan, did you say that 990 included the MDM and Skanska change orders that we just voted on, that the council committee just voted on?
Yes, it does.
And is the 50,000 included in there, or does that reduce it to 944?
Nope, the 50 is in there.
So 994 would be the amount that we would be turning back to the city. Is that correct? If all goes well?
Correct. If all goes well.
Okay. So just to preview, Jeremy and I met with the mayor, and one of the things that he's going to do is to assign to us the gym floors for the elementary schools. I thought he was going to send that down to the council last night. I guess there were still some questions raised by bond counsel. It would require another public hearing to repurpose those funds. But we are projecting with designer selection and funds for the floors, funds for some environmental remediation, and a contingency that it would be about $700,000 to do those floors. So my understanding is the mayor at the next meeting will send this down to the council. And at some point this fall, we'll be doing a designer selection to take over that project and to sometime in the spring, get those gym floors replaced. So that is certainly welcome news, I'm sure, to Mark Furtado and Jason Parento. I see Mark shaking his head yes.
Yeah, really appreciate that.
And I think that, is there anything else on this project, or are we able to move to the library?
The only other thing I wanted to mention, Jack, was that I just wanted everyone to be aware that when the company came to move the lift this morning, the truck drove over one of the hydrants in the bus lane in front of Brennan. The water department was notified. They needed to get a few parts, so they're in process of getting that repaired. The fire department was notified, and they have other locations with hydrants. So there's no occupancy concern, but just so everybody knows that it's leaning over, it's in the mulch. There's no water escaping it at this point. It's just, we have to wait until the water department can repair that item.
And then they'll submit a bill to the insurer for the truck company?
Yes, they'll give a bill to MDM. MDM will forward it through to their, lift operator, supplier, and, we'll go from there.
Okay. Nothing can ever go 100% right.
I know. I knew something was going to happen the day of our meeting, right?
Yep. So, okay. Any commission members have any other questions on this project?
No.
Okay, then thank you, everyone, for this project. And I can see that the library director has joined us, so your friends meeting must be over. Hi, Chris. And I think we have Bob Barton here, and we have Evan Warner here. So Evan, is it your job now to address it?
Sir, sure. From the last meeting, we've awarded the contract to Track Builders. They were the apparent low and eligible bidder on the library project. Contracts have been put together and that's in fact been executed, and a notice to proceed has been issued. We've held a pre-construction kickoff meeting along with 2 construction progress meetings. Contractor seems to have given us a PM and super along with the project engineer that seem to be competent and good folks to work with. So we're off to a good start. Track Builders has started to.
Lost power at the library, in case you're wondering why I'm sitting in the dark.
Sorry, what did you say, Chris?
We just lost power at the library, but I have battery and I have a Wi-Fi hotspot, so I'll just sit here in the dark.
So Track Builders has largely executed most of their subcontracts with the filed subbidders and then other subs of theirs, but that will continue. The submittal process has started. We actually saw a sample piece of the slate roof earlier this week. The contractor submitted a site logistics plan that we reviewed at this week's meeting. Some of the key subs, including HVAC and the roofer, along with the elevator sub, have been on site to take an even closer look at existing conditions at the library, take measurements and things like that that they need to prepare some of their submittals. A permit has actually been issued, so we expect with that folks will be mobilizing in the next week or so. And we've actually identified that there's a few existing exhaust fans on the roof and 1 rooftop unit that are currently not functioning, so that we're getting to the bottom of that, but it looks like the 2 exhaust fans were scheduled as existing to remain, so those will need to get replaced. And then we need to chase the what looks like a heating issue on one of the other units, that regardless of whether that ultimately remains or goes, we need that for temporary heat over the winter. So we expect that the first contractor's requisition will be presented to us at the end of October, and otherwise we're in good shape here. I don't know if anyone has any specific questions that I can try to answer.
Well, one of the things I know is that we're not going to have a contractor's trailer on site, and Chris has arranged, I guess, for their superintendent to have an office in the boiler room in the basement. Is that correct?
That is correct, and that's largely by design. And having an actual office trailer out in front of the library was really largely the contractor's choice, although it would be our preference not to have that out front. And they seem to be fine with that and are satisfied with the space in the boiler room.
And also through Bob Barton, we've arranged that the contractor's employees can park over at St. John's and walk over to the site, so that the parking lot that is between New England Tire and the library will stay in its current use. Is that correct?
I believe that is correct. I know that until we get to the point where we've got
sounds like it's pouring out there,
a reasonable amount of more than a few workers, that there may be some the superintendent for the next week or so maybe parking in that municipal lot, but certainly once mobilization happens and we get the significant number of subcontractors, they will be parking elsewhere.
Okay. One of the other things I know is that there are certain handicap accessibility issues that need to be addressed. And if I remember correctly, we applied to the Architectural Access Barriers Board and received a waiver that we don't have to necessarily have that work done when as part of this project, but I think there may be an update on that, Evan. Is that correct?
Yep. So the architect submitted on Attleboro's behalf package to Mass Architectural Access Board for a variance relative to certain items, specifically kind of a historic stair elements that we're looking to treat in a respectful manner, as well as a time extension to address some of the items, accessibility items that are required by the sheer value of the project that we're currently undertaking. The board met early in September. They tabled the discussion on our project, and we're going to reconvene. I believe it was the 28th of September. We have not heard anything back from them, but expect to hear relative to their discussions and decisions. We'll certainly let you folks know as soon as we do. Also related to accessibility items, there's an accessibility grant that has been identified that is being pulled together and submitted. The deadline is this Friday. So our intent is to submit the required documents for that for consideration so that we may have some additional grant money to address and help pay for some of these accessibility items. In addition to the grant application, the architect will be putting together some other scope documents for our current contractor to price up. And if the costs that they've come up with are reasonable, we will consider trying to execute a change order to their contract, certainly through approval of this commission. If, however, that pricing does not seem reasonable or favorable, we would likely go out to bid and have a separate contractor address this in the spring or summertime.
Two things, Evan. One is that we're carrying money in our contingency to cover the cost of this. And the second thing is that in general, as I understand it, some of the standards for handicapped accessibility have changed since 1992. And so there's a walkway / ramp that's in front of the library that needs to have some slope changes to it. There are some stair railings that need some extensions. There are a number of things that just need to be done. The only question is whether they're going to be done by this contractor now or by another contractor later. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So, Bob, do you have anything to add?
Sorry, Jack, I was muted. No, I don't. I still have power, though. I'm glad about that. Yeah, no, I didn't have anything to add. Yeah.
Okay. Christine, did you get your power back?
No, I'm still sitting here in the dark, and I figured I'd try and reserve battery by turning off the video of my blank screen.
Okay. And commission members, any questions on this project? Hearing none, then I guess there are no votes that we need to take on this. but I will ask Evan, there's a BH&A invoice for $12,500. Do you recommend that to us?
We recommend payment, yes.
Okay. Then I guess unless anybody has anything else on this, we'll see you and Bob and Christine on the 4th of November.
Excellent, thank you.
Right. Commission members, I just want to give you a quick update on the Attleboro-Pawtucket Interconnect. Jeremy and Courtney Wunschel and I all appeared before, some live and some virtual, before the council committee, Councilor Conti's committee last Tuesday. We explained what had to be done in terms of accepting the release deed and moving forward with the acceptance of the street and then discontinuance of Crown Street. And last night, the council voted to take the first step, so they accepted the release deed. Then this past Monday, Jeremy and Courtney and Gary Erasian and I all met with CDM Smith and their subcontractor Garofalo Associates, and we laid out what had to be done for the street acceptance plan and the street discontinuance plan. We are projecting that we will have those ready to file with the city council by the 20th of October. And hopefully at the second meeting in November, there will be a public hearing on both of those things. And they can then vote those in series in sometime in December so that we can have the project out to bid in January. That is the update on that. I told Courtney she didn't have to sit in her basement and watch us for 45 minutes in order to say, yes, that's correct. So that's where we stand on that particular project. We actually took the opportunity at that meeting on Monday to look at some of the site work surrounding that. And Gary Erasian has now determined, he brought Nick Wiley, the conservation agent, in as well. So we need to file for a stormwater permit, and we also need to have a minor site plan review. So those applications are being prepared, and we will follow through and hopefully get those done by January as well. So does anybody have any questions on the Attleboro-Pawtucket Interconnect? Okay, then I think the next thing we should do is that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bills to approve. Unless anybody has an objection, we can take those all as one group in one vote. Is there a motion to that effect?
Jackie still on?
We lost Jackie.
Oh, we lost Jackie.
All right, I'll do it. Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Then the storm must have moved from North Main Street over to Augsburg Drive.
She's not too far from me, and my lights keep flashing.
All right, well, I'm
Okay.
going to call the roll quick then. Terry, you're first.
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Jackie, disconnected. Gail?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
And Jack?
Yes. Okay, then just before we adjourn, I just want to remind everybody that next week at 5:30 is the school building committee meeting for the month. And then again, November 4th is a double header for us in that we have the tour of the high school and then we have the meeting back here. And then the November school building committee meeting is the 18th because the 11th is Veterans Day. So that's been, wow, Jackie's back. Did you lose power, Jackie? I guess so. So in any event, anybody have anything else or should we move to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, call the roll, Jeremy?
Terry,
Yes.
Ed, yes, Jackie. All right, no Jackie. Gail,
Oh,
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Ellie,
Yes.
and Jack.
yes, so we are adjourned at 6:25.
Thanks,
Night,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you.
Aye, thank you.
A bunch of things for you to sign, Jack.
Oh, I'd be happy to do that.
So.